Hey, 6th and 7th grade. This is just a reminder, a little bit of what our room looked like since you haven't been here in a while. Also, we're just making this video just kind of for the fun of it, to maybe add a little more humanness to what we're doing. A little more human interaction just for the fun of it. The lesson videos are very efficient and kind of disconnected. All right, I'm teaching to an empty class. You're just listening to your teacher on video and trying to figure things out. And I've sensed that there's a little bit of, maybe a little bit of discouragement and depression and a little bit of feeling the disconnect. All right, so I thought that today I would just send you out, hopefully, a little bit of an encouragement. Ellie sent two of her best friends along to cheer you up. I gave her Snoopy a couple Christmases ago, and she became one of her favorites. She has all kinds of animals, all right? But I sent her Snoopy for Christmas. She gave me Panda Bear for Valentine's Day, and promptly claimed him as her own because she said, "You don't need animals to sleep with. You have mommy to sleep with. You have somebody real. I need the animals." So Panda Bear has been hers, even though I keep trying to remind her, Panda Bear is really mine. She says, "Yeah, I know, but you don't need Panda Bear. You have mommy." So these are two of her favorites, but she has a whole, her grandpa made her a bunk bed, and she has the top. She has a little tent on the top, and with a little mattress in it, and it's stuffed full of animals and creatures and things, and so she has fun with that. So Snoopy and Panda Bear, as she calls him, are here to cheer you up today. Ellie told me the other day, Glenda was working. Glenda has worked several shifts at Ketchum this week. And if you heard the news, most of the coronavirus that's in Davis County is in Odin. I expected it to come to Davis County, but I didn't expect Odin to be the hot spot, or our town to be the hot spot. Now that it's here, I'm maybe more at peace just knowing with what's going on than what I was when, it started to get big in New York and started spreading across the country, and you're like, what's going on? What's going to happen? And then it came to Davis County, and Glenda found out that it was in Ketchum. And so then we were trying to decide, is she going to work she hadn't worked in a couple weeks and only works about once a week or so, just part-time. So we were trying to decide, is that worth risk of exposure? What are we going to do if she gets it? Do we have to, Ellie and I have to live at home and she lives in an apartment somewhere? So yeah, we were trying to figure all that out. But she did decide to work, and we're at peace with that. It's the right thing. They have good protective equipment and things like that, so she does what she can to help the older people there at Ketchum deal with their isolation. Mostly they're not allowed to leave their rooms, they're not allowed to have any visitors, things like that. So you can imagine a little bit what it would be like in a place like that, where you're used to interacting with each other, you're used to having some family coming in to visit maybe, and you're just stuck in your room. So probably none of us have it quite as bad as that. But yeah, Ellie said the other day, Glenda was working, and Ellie and I drove to Washington just to pick up a fish sandwich and French fries at McDonald's. It was a nice day, so we took a drive, and just drove to Washington, turned around, came right back with our food. And Ellie was kind of moaning that day. Everything's shut down. Can't go anywhere. Can't go to Grandpa's. Can't do anything. And so even someone like her is feeling it. We're used to human interaction. All right. People are social beings. we as Mennonites are even more social to a greater extent than a lot of people maybe, because we have church, or we have families. We value family. We visit grandpas, we visit cousins and things like that. And we have been pretty careful, especially now with Glenda working. We've been very careful to, we're basically not going anywhere to visit. So yeah, we haven't been to grandpa's. They stopped in and we just spent some time outside the other evening, things like that. But we've not been interacting with family much, with anybody really. And so we feel that. Ellie feels that. And those of you that are being very careful, I know that a number of you're feeling that too, and you feel the vacancy and the absence of socializing, family, church, school. We're used to it. One of the things that we can think about in times like this is all the people who kind of live like this every day, people who don't have family, who are not used to getting together with a big bunch of rowdy cousins and having a trip, having a butchering day, or whatever kind of day you families traditionally have. A lot of people are alone, quite alone compared to what we are, and what we're living now is kind of their norm, and that's a sad thing to think about. So that is one thing that we can be thankful of. There's going to be an end to this sometime. I don't know when, but sometime life will get back to a fairly normal again, I think. Some people are thinking that, this is going to change the way we do everything. I don't think it's that radical. This is going to be over some time. We're going to get back to church. We're going to get back to school. We're going to get back to family. So we have that bright spot to look forward to. But yes, we are very social, and we feel that absence, and it affects us. It affects us emotionally. We might not even think about it that much. We might not think about why we're so grouchy, or we're getting short with our brothers and sisters, or whatever it is. All right? But encourage each other. Appreciate the family that you are hanging out with. Appreciate your friends that you can't see. And again, it'll be normal again someday. All right? Just remember how blessed we are, how loved we are, how many people we have in our lives. And we feel that absence now, but sometimes when life is normal, we forget what kind of a support group we have. We forget that if anything bad would happen to us, there would be probably a couple hundred people that would show up, right? And that's one of the difficult things with this time now too, where you have difficulty, hurts, whatever, and we're used to crowding around each other and helping each other with that. And we can't really do that now. So there's just a lot of different things. Let me just encourage you in your schoolwork, all right? Probably in your tests and quizzes especially, there has been kind of your grades are going to be a little lower, all right? They probably tend to be a little lower. We are used to interactive learning. We learn from each other. I learn from you. You learn from me. We all learn from our discussions and just our interaction, okay? Other people's opinions speak into the way that we learn, all right? And so we don't have that right now. We don't have each other talking into each other's lives, giving opinions, giving other ideas, and all these good and random and interesting thoughts and bunny trails and all kinds of fun things just that are mixed together. We take for granted how much that affects our learning, all right? And we depend on each other to help each other in the learning process. So when there is this complete absence of that interaction, basically, it affects the way that we learn, probably more than what we think about. But some of you, I think, probably think about it even more, where you need this part, you need the school interaction to help you in your learning. So don't be discouraged, okay? Probably your grades are going to be a little lower. But that is not a big deal, okay? As long as you're giving me some effort, and I believe that you are. The work that I grade is a lot like the work that we're used to doing, but it's maybe a few points less. Okay, just focus when you're doing your tests and quizzes. Focus on directions and things like that. But don't worry. Okay, nobody's going to fail because of coronavirus. All right, none of your grades are even failing. So it's not just that I'm saying, well, you got this 60%, but because of coronavirus, I'm not going to fail you. No, it's not that. You're not doing failing work. All right, you're passing everything that you hand in. Some of it might be a little lower than what you're used to. That is not a big deal. All right, don't worry about it. And those of you that have called with questions, some of you are like, oh, it's me again, or sorry for all the... Don't apologize, all right? Don't apologize. I like to talk with you. I like to hear from you. I like to be able to see that, hey, there's work going into this. So don't worry about that. That's what I'm here for. You have my number. Call me up. It's not a big deal. So just a shout out to you. Thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing. I miss you guys, all right? I told you that before. And Ellie would call me a big softy, and my wife calls me a big sap, but there it is. I miss you, all right? Empty room, talking to a camera. It's just not the same as having all you goofs here and adding whatever it is to the atmosphere that you add, all right? So I want you to know that. Sometimes it's pretty peaceful. I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, no. For all the commotion that they bring to the room, for all the times when I snap at them because of whatever they're up to, it's worth it. It's worth having you here. So maybe this was a good time for us to just think about those kinds of things. I like having you here. I don't want to teach like this all the time. I thought, though, that we could, next year, if we get a good camera system and things like that. So while you're here, I could be teaching, I could be making videos of our day, and other students that don't go to school or other, they could be listening to, they could buy the rights to, listen into on our video, and they could be learning the same as you, so I thought maybe, I could maybe get rich off of something like that. I don't know. That's just an idea I was throwing around in my head. All right, I am going to read just a couple poems for the fun of it. Thinking about springtime. So even though we're social distancing, Ellie and Glenda and I have been taking quite a few walks in the evenings just around Odin and seeing the signs of spring. Here's a little poem about the daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high or vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in a sprightly dance. And we know how beautiful spring is, the flowers blooming, the trees, things like that. So enjoy it, all right? I was just looking at I think they're called red buds, all the pink and red trees that are blooming right now. It's a beautiful time of the year. We love spring. Here's a poem then specifically about trees. I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy hands to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. And one more. 7th grade maybe, one class I think read this poem. The house by the side of the road. Okay, it compares the life of loners, people who are okay with being alone. The things that they do alone. They're pioneers. They go to places alone. They explore things. They're okay with being alone. But this author mentions, let me make a contribution to mankind. Let me be a friend. Let me be a person who people, let me love people and have the relationship with people. So I thought this was a good one for our time right now when we are social distancing. Some people maybe like to live like this, kind of, but I think most of us would relate to this author. There are hermit souls that live withdrawn in the place of their self-content. There are souls like stars that dwell apart in a fellowless firmament. There are pioneer souls that blaze their paths where highways never ran. But let me live by the side of the road and be a friend to man. Let me live in a house by the side of the road where the race of men go by. The men who are good and the men who are bad, as good and bad as I. I will not sit in the scorner's seat or hurl the cynic's ban. Let me live in the house by the side of the road and be a friend to man. I see by my house, by the side of the road, by the side of the highway of life, the men who press with the ardor of hope, the men who are faint with strife. But I turn not away from their smiles nor their tears, both part of an infinite plan. Let me live in a house by the side of the road and be a friend to man. I know there are brook-gladdened meadows ahead and mountains of wearisome height, that the road passes on through the long afternoon and stretches away to the night. But still I rejoice when the travelers rejoice and weep with the strangers that moan, nor live in my house by the side of the road like a man who dwells alone. Let me live in my house by the side of the road. It's there the race of men go by. There are good, there are bad, there are weak, they are strong, wise, foolish, so am I. Then why should I sit on the scorner's seat or hurl the cynic's ban? Let me live in my house by the side of the road and be a friend to man. I don't know how this school year will end up. I imagine there are about 3 more weeks of work to do on your schedule. I imagine that we will not see each other even at that point right away. I don't know when, we'll be able to get together. I don't know what we'll do at the end of the year. But keep up the good work, and I'll see you around.